Okay, guys. Who here is a gamer? Who here likes to play video games? I know I do. I'm a big-time gamer, and because I play video games specifically on PC, the idea of getting video games to look and run better is always something I'm on board with. Any new software or architecture or hardware that allows games to look better and run better, you got my attention. And DLSS is a feature that NVIDIA has been pushing for a while now. I don't fully understand it, but I'll do my best to explain it nonetheless. Essentially, it's a way of trying to smooth out an image without having to render immense amounts of detail, and while simultaneously not sacrificing too much visual quality in the process. So, for instance, let's say you're running a game and you need to be able to tone down some things like resolution and also eke out a few extra frames. You can use DLSS to not only get those few extra frames or make it feel like you're getting those extra frames, but you can also, with minimal effect on the quality, make the game run smoother and have better performance, and sometimes it can even make things look better if the game is really made for it. I don't like to play with DLSS on. I often play with DLA or DLAA, I think it's called. I don't know. I've not been a big fan of DLSS in its past iterations. I thought it had potential, but every time I've turned it on in a game, I see weird artifact, or not artifacts, but like weird ghosting kind of going on. It's hard to explain. If you've noticed it, you know what I'm talking about. I don't like it. We're not talking about any of the past iterations of DLSS today. We're talking about NVIDIA's DLSS5 that was announced yesterday, or not yesterday, 3 days ago now. And this news has been extremely polarizing. So for those that aren't aware of what this DLSS5 thing is, supposedly, when this hits, games will not only look near photorealistic, but will run at even higher frame rates, even if you're not actually getting high frame rates. Sounds very impressive. But then you see how it looks, and I have some thoughts. Let's watch their big DLSS 5 announcement trailer. Here's Resident Evil Requiem. Now, for like half a second there, when I saw this the first time, I was like, whoa! But then I realized, wait. Is this literally just putting it through an AI filter? Is that what this is doing? And the answer would be, basically yes. It's regenerating the frames with AI and making it look more photorealistic. There are some cases where the results of what it can do look absolutely insane and actually quite impressive, particularly when it comes to using it to like home remaster really old games that are like polygonal looking graphics. You can make them look pretty damn good using this based on what I've seen. But it seems to be relying pretty heavily on a algorithm that probably trained off of a lot of stolen images, stolen art, and it just doesn't look right. It doesn't look right. The faces especially, I want you to notice this as we go through. The faces look very devoid of the life that they had before the DLSS 5 was turned on. Let's just watch. Now it doesn't even really look like Leon. One thing you'll notice is their faces get frozen in the last expression that they made. Did you notice that? Their faces get frozen in the same expression, even as they turn their face. Once the DLSS gets turned on. Watch Leon's face here, then watch it from this point onward, how it's frozen as the same face. He can't make a different face. Watch her, she won't change her face. She won't make a different face. Okay, she talks. Some of these look better than others, but ooh. This one is a rough one. This is a rough one. At first you're like, wow, the improvement is quite significant. I think it's a Starfield. But then you look at it and you're like, wow. If I watch this for more than like 3 minutes, it's going to become very impossible to not be thinking about the fact that these are AI-generated frames through and through. Trash NVIDIA made absolute trash. It really is frustrating to know that AI is taking up so many resources at companies like NVIDIA so they can work on producing stuff like this. Now, to be fair, I'll play devil's advocate here. I will play devil's advocate here. If the potential of this software, of this method of DLSS, continues to be iterated on and worked on, there's certainly potential here for some revolutionary advancements in gaming. Right now, we're kind of in this like death spiral of having to make way more expensive, heavier, larger graphics cards that are having a hard time keeping up with games that are coming out even 4 years later, 3 or 4 years later. And so it's very clear that something needs to be done. There needs to be a more efficient way to generate a large amount of frames for video games that are just getting way more graphically insane. Higher resolutions, better monitors are coming out, games are just continually getting better looking, all the while the release of new hardware is lagging behind, and it's getting so expensive, it's becoming a real luxury purchase to buy a graphics card or frankly anything that can run any modern game at medium to high settings. And so, on one hand, don't get me wrong, I think that having an art style is important. There are plenty of games out there who want to have a photorealistic look, and it would be interesting to see what is possible, not with this tech, but with the generation of frames using a different method. Or, hear me out, actually optimize the back end. I understand games do need to be optimized, and there are dozens of ways in which they can be, but that doesn't actually acknowledge the point that I just made, that we're in an infinite death spiral of games getting more, like, demanding, while the hardware necessary to run them gets more heavy, more expensive, larger, and, like, we have to buy it more often to keep up. Games are not going to stop reaching for graphic ultra-realism. That's never going to happen. Games are going to keep trying for it until they achieve true photorealism. Games aren't going to stop trying to create experiences that are not anything like you've seen before and are very hard to run, so there's got to be some new way to do this. I don't think this is the way, though. I'm going to be honest. I don't think AI generating frames is the way to do it, especially not if it looks like this. You'll eat the slop. I hate how many people I have to deal with in my chat that are like animals, you know? Like animal level intellect. Like you can't even finish a point before they've already started like screaming out, like barking out some noise to try and cut you off before you can finish making a point smarter than anything they've ever said in their life. No one is saying eat the slop. Okay, buddy? No one is telling you to eat the slop. You're not responding to an argument anyone's actually making. Calm down. Oh my god, this one in particular really showcases what's wrong with this. So, look at these characters. Look how much emotion they have in their faces and whatnot. Don't get me wrong, Starfield is not the best looking game of all time. Starfield is not the most artistically you know, beautiful or impressive game ever made. Don't get me wrong. But look at this. Look at, like, the style, the aesthetic, the vibe they're going for, and watch it get butchered. Watch the artistic vision get butchered here. Like, keep in mind, these are real actors mocapping these characters and voicing them. And now, you turn on DLSS, and they don't even look like the people that are playing them, for one, which is its own level of, like, disrespect. But on top of that, it looks bizarre. It looks bizarre once you do, because watch the lighting. See what it does to the lighting? Everything gets ultra lit. One thing you'll notice is in every image they've showcased of DLSS5, it lights up every scene to bright. Like, to very visible and bright. Which doesn't sound too bad, but it doesn't matter what the artistic vision is. If it's meant to be a dank, creepy, scary house in a horror game, guess what? It's going to become 150% brighter. Now, the one area in which I'll give it the benefit, because, you know, I think we can all acknowledge it, is the textures do look better. Like, the textures do look, maybe not better, better is subjective. They do look more real life. They look more like real life than before. But I'm gonna be honest, I don't think it looks better. Here's actually the one exception, I'll be honest. The one exception I saw was with the, with, like, the soccer games and stuff like that. I think when it comes to these sports games, I think it does actually work pretty well, because there's so much going on that all the weirdness that AI produces, when you put something through an AI filter, just kind of blends into the noise. The crowd, all the players, all the movement. So yeah, as you can see, DLSS5, maybe there's potential in this to one day look and run better than what we currently have, but right now, it's not a good look. And the fact they released that proudly and expected us to be like, whoa, that's awesome! I am shocked that they were able to be that ignorant as to how the internet would react, but let's get a look at how the internet is reacting. I have, I think it's a Game Ranks video here, talking about what the hell is going on with NVIDIA DLSS5. So let's see what's going on. I ain't buying it. Well, it's not a thing you'll buy, it'll just be a setting you can enable. Part of your
NVIDIA
drivers.
has shown us DLSS5, and depending on who you ask, it's either the future of graphics or a complete and total mess. I've seen the words generational leap repeatedly, and then I also see people saying it looks like looks maxing apps, which are words I never thought I would say on this channel. But here we are. NVIDIA has thrown out a new demo video of a new technology, and, well, people hate it. And I'm just gonna say this, I think it's perfectly fun to hate it. I do think that there is some investigation that is worth doing here. Like, it's not actually supposed to be about the faces, but they really screw up the faces with this. Hi folks, it's Falcon.
And that is a problem when you consider that in this day and age with games like Resident Evil and Starfield, maybe not in Starfield, but I know in the case of Resident Evil, you've got actual actors and actresses mocapping and voicing and getting scanned into these games, and NVIDIA shipping a setting that, like, borderline erases their presence, like the actor's actual likeness from the media, or alters it so severely. Like, a mod is one thing. A mod made by a fan is one thing, but NVIDIA shipping this as a setting is insane.
And today on Game Ranks, what the hell is going on with NVIDIA DLSS5? So here's what DLSS5 is supposed to be. Instead of just upscaling an image like older versions of DLSS, it actually uses AI to rebuild parts of the frame in real time. It looks at things like lighting, material.
It's actually done this for a minute now. It's used like a different kind of AI, not what you're thinking of, not what we all hate, to like upscale and improve the visual quality while also preventing the effect that has on your performance for the most part. It's done that for a while. Now it's actually doing like AI generation of frames, like full on AI generating frames, putting it through a filter basically, or at least that's what it looks like.
Materials in motion, and it tries to enhance them by adding detail, improving how light interacts with surfaces, and making everything look more, and I'm using scare quotes here, realistic, without the game having to fully render all of that. So the goal isn't just higher resolution, it's better lighting, better materials, and more detailed images overall while still having good performance. And just to be clear, I can get behind all of that. There's nothing about that I find inherently bad. It's just, look at their faces. Like, look at their face.
Actually, we're showcasing another thing there very well. Look at what it does to the actual like vision of the scene.
Performance.
So,
and just to be clear,
this shot in Resident Evil Requiem is supposed to be like very dark and dingy. Like you look at this image, you look at the light post right here. You look at like all this along here, and the fact that like a lot of it's so dark, you can't make out any detail. That's not a bad thing. The fact that there are areas throughout this image that are so dark you can't make out much of any detail is what adds to the atmosphere. Even if it's just little dark corners like here, it makes the whole scene feel not scary or anything. It just feels dreary and down. Now watch what the filter does to it. Look at all these really dark spots where you can hardly make out detail. It just add dark to the scene. Watch what happens when DLSS5 happens. And this is a horror game, by the way. You want things to be dark.
Can get behind all of that. There's nothing about that I find.
Even these little like cross beams that are completely covered up and thus are meant to be fully dark like before, you can see every little detail. You can see the detail now in this shadow. I don't know, YouTube does darken the video, so you might not actually be able to see it, but I can. And it's because every shadow has been lightened at least enough that you can see what's covered by the shadow now that it's gone through DLSS5. There are no shadows too dark to see what is being shadowed now. And there are a lot of games where shadows so dark that when you're in a brighter area, you can't see what's in the shadows is intended in so many games. I mean, for one, if you've ever played Dying Light or Dying Light 2, you know how often that's a mechanic in that. But, like, God, this really does butcher a lot of what makes these games' art style work. And I don't think a lot of people will even realize it until they turn on the setting and feel like there's just something off.
Inherently bad. It's just, look at their faces. Like, look at their faces. You remember, like, people's problem with Mass Effect Andromeda? I mean, the problems run very deep with that game, but what was people's focus? How messed up their faces were. Because the human face is such a universally easy thing for another human being to understand. And I don't need to do an explanation, like, but before we talk about that, we have got to talk about the history of the thing. The Uncanny Valley is the blah 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 blah. No, we don't need to do that. Now here's the thing. When a new technology comes in and does something new and disruptive and changes things, I'm not one to reject it. And I'm not here to explicitly reject the idea of this technology. However, I'm sorry, but you can't make the faces look like that. You can't. So let's talk Resident Evil Requiem.
If they're gonna ship this, it's gonna need more work. Be honest, chat. It's going to need more work if they're going to ship this. It's apparently not coming until November, so who knows? Maybe it won't look god-awful when it ships, but it's almost scarier to imagine what happens if it does end up looking pretty good by the time it launches. And people start using it and liking it. and it starts really leaning everybody more in favor of AI. That's a bit of a scary possibility. If this gets to be good, it might make gamers embrace AI pretty hard.
Because I love talking Resident Evil Requiem. Great.
Keep in mind, like, Arc Raiders was good enough that a lot of gamers were willing to look past the fact it used AI voices, because the game itself was just so fun.
Grace is a work-obsessed, kind of nerdy, kind of doesn't know exactly who they are, mid-20s office jockey, who I would venture to guess doesn't have much of a social life. PTSD is not usually super conducive towards that. Hey, but now she's Kim Kardashian, or at least wants to be. What a good idea. And
I'm not gonna, yeah, it did looks max her when she is absolutely not supposed to look like a looks maxer.
I don't think anyone is going to disagree with me on that. In my opinion, the people who are talking about how great this technology are, it's either their job to talk about how great this technology
Why is she slaying? She's supposed to look scared. This is a horror game.
is. They're maintaining some kind of a business relationship with NVIDIA, so they're incentivized to talk about how great the technology is, or they are not focusing on these people's faces, which, to be clear, is what I think NVIDIA thought people were going to do. I think that as not the creators of Resident Evil, I think they are probably a lot less precious about the character designs and maybe don't even think about them. They think about what can we do to make this technically better and maintain high frame rates. Technically better. The best kind of better, right? Wrong. So I'm gonna do what they thought people would do and ignore the faces for a moment. If you look strictly at the backgrounds, what it is doing with the materials and the lighting and all of that, it actually isn't doing anything to the artistic intent. Like, the art direction remains in every one of these
That's what
scenes
I was talking about.
in the background. And what it does is build on top of that, enhance certain details, make
That I disagree with. It's not enhancing. Where it's really fucking up is lightening the image. Look at the side-by-side here. Look at how you've got, like, Hogwarts Legacy, overhyped as fuck game. But it's got sort of like this milky, foggy effect going on. Like, almost like a filter going on in this cave. But then once you put it through DLSS, look, it's all gone. Look at the stalagmite here, and then look at the stalagmite here. Do you see how much lighting and color grading you're losing by putting it through this? It's like how there's a lot of classic movies that had a very specific color grading, and then they'll get remade or re-released in HD, and they'll remove the color grading digitally. They'll digitally recolor it and drop it and be like, see, it's better now. They did this shit to Lord of the Rings, and I'm still mad about it. It's really hard to find copies of Lord of the Rings with the original color grading, because a lot of the HD versions of it digitally recolored the movies. But the original Lord of the Rings had a color-graded filter over almost every scene. There were very few scenes that didn't have color grading on. Like, one of them that stood out was the scene where Frodo drops the ring when they're going over the Misty Mountains. That scene had no, if I remember right, had no color grading on it, and was one of the few in the movie not to. And it made the scene feel very bright, because they're in the snow and they're on top of a mountain and it's the middle of the day and there's no clouds in the sky. But, like, this reminds me of that digital recoloring shit that some classic movies will have done to them, and it just ruins the artistic image, or the artistic vision.
the lighting react and behave a little bit more like light is supposed to, and that's very cool in the background. In fact, if we're talking about inorganic or mostly stationary objects, I would venture to guess it does almost nothing to the art direction itself, except it is a little better. It is a little enhanced, genuinely. Every back...
That's very... I don't agree. I don't agree. I think you might want to sit on this take a little while longer and think about the shadows and how much they're lit up by this DLSS5 shit.
Ground in every one of these examples they show looks the same but a little better. As far as that goes, mission accomplished. I'm not somebody who automatically discounts
what's it? I can't find any examples or think of any examples I could just bring up right now to show you. Whenever a movie gets announced and it gets a trailer, or a movie or a game, how often have you seen a thumbnail that's like clickbaity as fuck, where they brighten up the image like 80%, and that's it? It's like an image everyone already knows, but they brighten it up like way too much, and for some reason it just catches your eye, almost like it's a new image, or it almost looks like it's a leak taken off of a camcorder recording a screen at a glance. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Have you seen what I'm talking about? Like the movie and film channels that'll like post an upcoming thing and purposefully turn down the saturation and turn up the brightness on the thumbnail to get clicks, to make it almost look like a new thing from that new upcoming, a new clip or a new screenshot from that upcoming project that people are excited for. Yes, that's what it reminds me of. It's like if you saw that and said, they enhanced the image.
It's a new technology because it's categorized as bad, but also I kind of don't want to play a Mr. Beast thumbnail. You know, those goofy ass uncanny faces are not an improvement on even, frankly, not massively realistic faces. To be frank, laying a more realistic face on top of the shape of these, frankly, not entirely realistic faces, slightly stylized faces. Like, I know a lot of people talk about how realistic Resident Evil games are looking nowadays. They actually really aren't that realistic looking.
Yeah. A lot of people do not realize how much games that... Resident Evil is the kind of series that does a really good job of tricking you into thinking its aesthetic is like hyper realistic, because the textures are really high quality, the lighting is really good. You know, they're very beautiful engine, the RE engine, don't get me wrong. But its characters, they are really good at selling unbelievable proportions on characters as realistic. Whether it be the female or male characters. Like, Chris Redfield in Resident Evil 8 is literally built like a brick shithouse. And I'm not joking about that. He is literally a rectangle in that game. But you don't question it because it just works. It just works. But yeah, in a lot of cases, especially in the faces, video games that even go for a hyper-realistic kind of graphical look, think like Cyberpunk, for instance, even they do a lot of artistic artistic liberty with how they design characters' faces, because if they go too hard trying to make it look like a real person, if they don't succeed 100%, it's going to make people feel weird. So they kind of have to make the faces look cartoony, exaggerate features in areas you'll never notice. You'll never notice it, but if they didn't do it, you would notice. You never notice when it's there, but you notice when it's not. And this AI DLSS eliminates that artistic change to the way that human faces are that's so common in games, and it makes them look really bizarre, because they still move robotically like video game faces do.
The people are stylized.
Generally.
Like, you could definitely say there is something called Capcom face. You could see somebody and you could go, that's probably a Capcom game. That's called style. And when you lay a quote-unquote more realistic face on top of the shape of that, wow, is it weird. It does not enhance the realism of the Capcom face. It detracts from the stylization of the Capcom face. And I see a lot of people calling this an AI slop filter, and they're not wrong. I'm not somebody who automatically categorizes
Okay.
filter, and they're not.
Look at his eyes and eyebrows and tell me you don't see Epstein. Look at the eyes and eyebrows and tell me you don't see Epstein. Yeah. Those are Epstein's eyes, 100%. Epstein infected the AI.
Not wrong. I'm not somebody who automatically categorizes everything made with a technology as slop, but this is just flinging a filter at something. In the case of the background, it actually is doing as advertised. Great, fine.
It's just making it brighter. No, like literally. No, okay, this guy is cucked on this take. Okay, I won't lie. The the textures are better, but they got to do something about what it's doing to the lighting. Because look at what
it actually
the original image. This is the original image.
Is doing as advertised.
And then this is with it on. A lot of it is just like brightening the image.
Great, fine, awesome. Looking at all their various examples, the backgrounds are what benefits from this technology. And I want to emphasize, I am not specifically shitting on the idea of enhancing things. But if any of you have spent any time listening to The Falcon Show as 1% members, which, by the way, if you join, we upload exclusively for members every Saturday. We have a hell of a fun time with it. But I talk a lot.
No one likes the members-only feature. Anytime someone gets a members-only video and they're recommended, I imagine, like, they consider unsubbing from the channel. YouTube really needs to just stop, like, making members-only videos show up to non-members in the algorithm, because I see people complain about that. I don't do members-only videos, but I see people complain about other YouTubers doing that all the time.
About artistic intent. And I'm going to talk a lot more about it right now. It's important to note that Capcom and Bethesda did sign off on this. It's not just Nvidia tossing this on top of random games and just shoving it in our faces. Capcom and Bethesda even made a statement. For all we know, we might like what it looks like. I don't really know. I can't read minds, obviously. But at very, very least, Nvidia had permission to do this. To what extent this turns out to be a tool or a marketing gimmick, we also don't know that. But Nvidia did.
You know what's crazy? This does remind me of something I saw that was real, but it was a fan-made thing. It was like a thing made by just some guy. And I thought it was neat when I saw it. Never did I think this would end up leading to something real, I guess. Let me see if I can find the clip I'm thinking of. Yeah, here it is. So, basically, somebody put Subnautica gameplay. This is like a couple years ago. Someone put Subnautica gameplay through an AI that was meant to, like, make it look ultra realistic. And I was like, this looked interesting at the time because there was nothing else like this. Like, nothing like this had ever been done before. And it was kind of neat to see for the first time, but now it's like, oh no. This technology has gotten way out of hand. But yeah, this is kind of like a way early version of what we're seeing with this DLSS5 thing. This is real Subnautica gameplay. It's just there's a mod, basically, AI generating all the frames. This is awful. Believe it or not, the overwhelming consensus when I showed this to chat a couple years ago was fairly positive. Not like, oh, this is the future or anything, just, oh wow, this is neat. It's so difficult to watch and actually recognize what you're seeing. Yeah. Well, presumably, this is years old. Like, this isn't what the DLSS5 will look like, I assume. But it's interesting to see, like, this is kind of a predecessor to what we've been talking about. The realism makes it way scarier. I won't lie, this does look scarier than normal Subnautica. Like, the haze effect, it did a really good job of making a real-looking water haze effect. Like turbidity, and it is pretty freaky. But here you got, like, the scaling is just totally off here. But it's definitely interesting, I won't lie. Like, you can pretend like you're not even slightly interested in seeing what this will look like in a couple years, for sure. But even if I don't like it, I'm certainly interested. Man, my chat keeps disconnecting and reconnecting. I'm not losing any frames with my stream, so I'm not losing internet, I assume. It's just my chat dying. But yeah, apparently, once DLSS5 comes out, this is what our games are going to look like, pretty much. So, welcome to the future, folks. Welcome to the future. Better get your Trauma Team Platinum plan paid for, otherwise you're not going to have any medical care. Oh wait, that's just the American health insurance system. Oh man. Anyway, that said, if you enjoyed this segment, you liked what I had to say about this DLSS5 nonsense, consider leaving a like and a comment down below. It's totally free. It really helps the channel, really does support the stream, and I appreciate it immensely. Be sure to follow my social medias linked down below if you want to see more from me. Comment down below as well. Subscribe, ring the bell icon, and if you want to go the extra mile to support the stream, consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub to somebody else on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through, just following my social medias, I guess. I don't know. I just thank you for being here, honestly. Thank you for watching. And as always, I hope you have a good one.